Hello everyone, I'm Tommy Cerberus, or you can just call me Serby, uh, and I want to talk about So I'm a Spider, So What? uh, this is my first time making a video like this, so uh, go easy on me. I actually tried to do a more reaction format, and I actually recorded it with some of my friends, Zero and Kiwi, so they might still post that video. I don't know. Um, I found out I am not good at editing, so instead, I'm just gonna talk about it. Um, so first and foremost, I am a light novel reader, so I'm gonna try and start this video off spoiler free, and then I will have a spoiler section at the end because I've got some things to talk about. um, first off, my first impressions of it, I loved it. uh, I Out of all the shows that I watched, like the first episodes for this season of anime, I keep thinking about this one. I love the story. I love the light novel. So I mean, I was really excited for this one going into it. And I was nervous about how it was gonna get adapted. Uh, I'm very happy with this first episode. So, uh, yeah, nervousness still there a little bit, but gone down a lot. So let's talk about the first episode. Kumiko's adorable, isn't she? I hate spiders. I have pretty severe arachnophobia. I can usually handle fictional spiders though, so I know some people can't handle spiders at all, which is unfortunate. So this show probably won't be for you then. But give it a chance. Maybe you'll be fine with it. Kumiko herself is cute. She's not scary at all. But you'll see when you look at the other spiders and stuff, they can be nasty. Which is actually a fun point actually. Kumiko, she sees herself as a cute, adorable little spider. And we're looking at it from her perspective, right? We hear her inner voice, her thinking, and so we see her kind of as she sees herself. But she looks like all those other spiders, right? They're siblings. She's the same as them. I actually wanted to pull up. The light novel has these super fun bestiary pages, and I love these. I love this kind of stuff. And so for the different spider races, the ones that Kumiko is, they will like show her compared to like what the species actually looks like, but they don't do that for the first one, which is a shame. I wanted to show it though because I think it's really cool. I don't consider this a spoiler because they show her form for this a ton in the opening and the ending. So, but if you don't want to see it, skip a few seconds forward. But yeah. So this is one of her later evolutions. I love this drawing. It's so good. So you see, she's this kind of cute little spider, and they make her even cuter in the anime, and even cuter in the manga still. But this thing up here is nasty and terrifying, and thank God we see this, huh? Yeah, I thought if we go back just to the anime screenshot here, they did a great job. She looks adorable. The CG looks good here. I like all that they did with this. And when the first PV came out, I was kind of sad that they went with her light novel design versus like the manga design, which is way cuter. But I'm happy with it. She looks adorable. And I like that they're really emphasizing a lot of like the subtle foreshadowing and the mystery elements of things. She didn't have a name. I call her Kumiko, right? That's a fan name actually given to her that the author himself really likes. So she will refer to herself kind of like that in her inner monologue and they use it in the manga and stuff, in like the English translations. I don't know about the Japanese, but she didn't have a name yet. I like that they're pointing that kind of stuff out. I like these eye catches are perfect. I was curious how they were gonna do her stats and stuff. They do it in the eye catches. That's perfect. There's some fun little things if you want to look in here and actually like analyze these. These are huge. In the light novel, there's just pages and pages of this stuff. It's a clever way to do it. I like that they included them in the eye catches. That's a lot of fun. Gets her first title. It's kind of a shame that this came after the eye catch, because it would have been fun to then have the title section in here too. I'm sure that will be in the future episodes. She gets the title Kin Eater, which is seemingly insignificant, but it comes with some skills, right? That's a fun one. I'm not going to talk about it here, but it's a fun one. The fight with the frog. Now this is probably a good place to talk about like the CG in the show, because that's obviously a pretty big talking point, isn't it? I don't mind the CG at all. I think the CG's fine. It's nothing to write home about. It's no Land of the Lustrous. It's no Dorohedoro. It's fine. I don't have much more to say about it than that. It's not terrible. It's not Berserk 2016. I know a lot of people, myself included, were a little afraid of that. I looked into it a little bit more. The studio, I'm not going to try to pronounce the studio name because I don't know it off the top of my head. But they actually are responsible for the 2D of the show. There's a different studio that does the 3D, and it's not the same studio that did the 3D for Berserk. So, that connection, not as strong as it might appear on the surface, and the CG isn't bad. It's, like I said, not like the most amazing CG in the world, but it's fine. No problem with it. The fight with the frog was fun. I hate his tongue. That thing is nasty and it's gross. I don't like it. The fight was fun. I think they did the action scenes well. I really like how they did how they showed Kumiko's injuries, which kind of, I think they took a lot of from the manga for that one. It's important. This show isn't friendly. Kumiko struggles. She gets hurt. I like how they represented it. I thought they did a really good job with that. And then we get the human characters. Well, human characters. They're pretty true to the light novel on this one, aren't they? They're the least interesting part of the show so far. I can tell you, in the first couple of volumes of the light novel, the side stories with these guys are not the most interesting part of it. It's the point at which actually, so when I was reacting to this with my friends, I forgot that they show them this early. Like, obviously they do. I've been rereading the first couple of volumes these last couple of days since watching this. They show them a ton. They're just not very interesting. They show a bunch of these characters though here. They show Shun, they show Keisha, they show Faye, Hugo, and Yuri, and we see Teacher Chan. I think this is kind of part of what makes Spider unique to a lot of other shows. These characters kind of, Shun in particular. Shun is, I realized I screenshotted this with the Crunchyroll pause screen on still. I'm sorry. Shun is your generic bland isekai protagonist. He is the perfect hero. He's got his OP skills. He's your generic isekai protag, right? You get some fun twists. Keisha, the fact that she was male in her past life. Faye got reincarnated as a dragon. The teacher who was older than them right now is the same age of them, and now she's an elf and looks younger than them. These guys get better, and a lot of the stuff that they're showing In the light novel, they use them kind of to introduce like mechanics, show you how skills work. It's not super interesting, but it builds, right? That's the point with this story, is it's building on itself. So it introduces things that don't seem very interesting in the front, but it leads to something much, much bigger. So don't just ignore these parts like I did the first time I read the light novels. Pay attention. You might notice things. They're interesting. I'll talk about them more in my spoiler section, specifically good old Hugo. The ED is fantastic. I freaking love both the OP and the ED. Aoyuki is the perfect VA for this casting because Kumiko just has so much energy, and Aoi really just, she's a goddess. She nails it. It's perfect. This ED is amazing. Just her singing about how she hates that she was reincarnated as a spider. It's fantastic. I'm going to talk about the OP a lot in the spoiler section. That's just why I didn't mention it here. I am amazed with some of the things that they're showing, visuals-wise, in this. But song-wise, I love both the OP and the ED a ton. This ED is now one of my favorites of all time. Right up there with, like, Kenkai Sensen's ED. Awesome. I love all of this. If we talk about... I'm just gonna go back to the... Oh, come on, load. Well, my computer struggles to load an image for some reason. The show's getting a lot of very obvious comparisons to Tensei Shitara Slime that again. I get it. I get why those comparisons are being made. Before I hop into the spoiler section, where I'll probably talk about this a little bit more, I'm just gonna say, all these comparisons, while they're fair to make, are very, very surface level. 'Cause these stories really aren't alike at all. And I've heard some people call this just like a very generic isekai. It's not. Stick with it. It has to put up that front, right? It has to start somewhere. It's where it goes that matters. And this has some twists and turns that you probably will not see coming. So stick with it. It's a lot of fun. If you can handle the spiders, if you can handle the CG, stick with it. Give it a shot. This is my warning now. I'm gonna start going into spoilers. You see my little spoiler folder up here. So final warning, spoilers now. Let's talk about the OP. Let's talk about Shira Ori right there. Right there. Not only is she right there, they pull her back out of D's eye. How about that? They just put that right there. That's to show this guy. I was not expecting them to put the administrators right there in the opening. I'm not gonna say his name. I can't say his name. But right there. They also show this shot here. You see Shun mourning Julius's death. That's a fun scene to throw there. I mean, I get, with no context, this just seems like emotional moment, right? And it is. That's what that is. Still interesting that they put that right there in the opening. Shira Ori. They show Shira's eye again there. This one is the one that I'm most shocked with. Is Shun versus Hugo. This is obviously, they're in a forest, so this is Shun's first fight with Hugo. But, yeah. Right there in the opening, huh? The opening is super catchy. I realize I don't even have a screenshot of Ariel in here. They have Ariel all over the opening. Lots and lots of little Easter eggs, I guess, if you will, for the later volumes. I was not expecting them to put that much there, and from watching other people, like my friends and others, react to the show and look at the show. Clearly, if you haven't read the light novel, this means nothing to you. But, damn, right? Let's talk about the show's just subtle foreshadowing that it likes to tease people with. Let's look at the first 30 seconds of the show, right? That's a fun shot. It's like we're looking at the classroom from a spider eye. That's cool. Look at this. I like this theory of Kumiko's. It's a good one. I like this shot of Wakaba. Yeah. Let's talk about Taboo. This is really, like, if you've read the light novel, this is where things really keep going, right? Is when she maxes Taboo. But Taboo is the perfect, just ticking timer, right? It doesn't do anything. It just sits there menacingly in the background, slowly ticking up to 10, right? God, I love the way the author writes this story. I love the way he foreshadows. Let's talk about the biggest monster in the room. Let's talk about Hugo. I love how they just make him look like an absolute asshole from the very beginning. Because he is. Yeah, I'm curious to see people's reactions to Yuri when, like, her religious fanaticism starts coming out. That'll be fun. It's interesting how they showed this scene first, because I talk about how I kind of forgot that they show the human characters so early on. It's not true. They show them early on, but they show them earlier than this, actually. This seems to be when they're first entering the academy, which prior to that we get a lot of, like, backstory with Shun and Keisha, and, like, them developing into themselves as reincarnations in this new world. It's also interesting, I love the way the light novel foreshadows that this story isn't linear. These events aren't concurrent, right? You can see that these kids who are also reincarnated, right, they're much older than Kumiko, because clearly they weren't just born. We saw Kumiko just born, right? But it didn't tell you that. It leaves you to infer that, and the further you get into the story in the light novel, the more you realize these events aren't concurrent. This isn't a linear story. Things take place in different points. So then when we actually see things, like the first time Ariel shows up, the first time we see Shiro, like, I wonder when this takes place and all that kind of stuff, right? It's really well done. It's really interesting the way the author, and I'm happy with how the anime is doing it too. It really foreshadows things without really telling you anything. So then once you know the story and you come back to it and watch it for a second time or read it for a second time, like I'm rereading the light novel right now, it's like you notice so much more. You're like, oh, they put that right there, didn't they? I love in the ED also, they've got, as she's singing about how she hates her reincarnation, right? And you've got this quick shot of the of the snail bug that made me laugh. I guess I'm really happy with this show. I'm curious to hear what other people think about it. I could keep gushing about this show for a long time, but yeah. Tell me, leave a comment. Tell me what you guys thought. If you've read the light novel, if you've read the manga, actually, I'm really curious to see what people who've only read the manga think about it. Because from what I've heard, I read a little bit of the manga to begin with, but it sounds like they kind of ignore the human side of this completely. Do they show up? Are they currently in it? I'm not current on the manga, because if not, then this anime actually probably showing the manga readers things that they haven't seen either yet. Because the manga's still a baby, from my understanding. It hasn't gotten very far yet. So I'm curious, if you've read just the manga, what's your first impressions? And if you're completely blind, you're probably not here listening to this part. But I'm curious to know your impressions too. Yeah, I loved it. I think that's all I'm going to talk about for now, though. So thank you for watching.